On August 17th, about 4 months ago, I sent Prime Minister Albanese of Australia a letter in which I gave him warning that the Australian government's policy was promoting and encouraging antisemitism. Prime Minister, you replaced weakness with weakness and appeasement with more appeasement. Your government did nothing to stop the spread of anti-Semitism in Australia. You did nothing to curb the cancer cells that were growing inside your country. You took no action. You let the disease spread.
Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu lambasted Australian Prime Minister Anthony Albanese on December 14th as countries voiced shock and sympathy over a mass shooting at a Jewish holiday event, claiming he had warned Albanese that your call for a Palestinian state pours fuel on the anti-Semitic fire. During the war in Gaza, Netanyahu has repeatedly sought to link global calls for a Palestinian state and criticism of Israel's military actions following Hamas's 2023 attack to a rise in anti-Semitic incidents worldwide. On December 14th, while other Israeli officials urged Australia to take stronger action against a surge in anti-Semitic attacks, Netanyahu went further by suggesting that the Sydney shooting, which left at least 11 people dead, including an Israeli, was connected to support for a Palestinian state. Citing his August 17th letter, Netanyahu claimed that he warned Albanese that Australian policies promote anti-Semitism. The Israeli Prime Minister further lashed out at his Australian counterpart, saying, "You did nothing, your government did nothing," to curb the growth of what he called the cancer of anti-Semitism.
On August 17th, about 4 months ago, I sent Prime Minister Albanese of Australia a letter in which I gave him warning that the Australian government's policy was promoting and encouraging anti-Semitism in Australia. I wrote, "Your call for a Palestinian state pours fuel on the anti-Semitic fire. It rewards Hamas terrorism. It emboldens those who menace Australian Jews and encourages the Jew hatred now stalking your streets. Anti-Semitism is a cancer. It spreads when leaders stay silent. It retreats when leaders act. I call upon you to replace weakness with action, appeasement with resolve. Instead, Prime Minister, you replaced weakness with weakness and appeasement with more appeasement. Your government did nothing to stop the spread of anti-Semitism in Australia. You did nothing to curb the cancer cells that were growing inside your country. You took no action. You let the disease spread. And the result is the horrific attacks on Jews we saw today. We saw an action of a brave man, turns out a Muslim brave man, and I salute him, that stopped one of these terrorists from killing innocent Jews. But it requires the action of your government, which you're not taking. And you have to, because history will not forgive hesitation and weakness. It will honor action and strength. That's what Israel expects of each of your governments in the West and elsewhere, because the disease spreads and it will consume you as well. But we are worrying right now about our people, our safety, and we do not remain silent. We fight those who try to annihilate us. They're not only trying to annihilate us, they attack us because they attack the West. In Syria, we saw yesterday 2 American soldiers killed and 1 American interpreter killed as well, killed because they represent our common culture. Now, as a result of this, Secretary of War Pete Hegseth said the following. He said, "Let it be known that if you target Americans anywhere in the world, you will spend the rest of your brief, anxious life knowing the United States will hunt you, find you, and ruthlessly kill you." We send our condolences to the people of America. And I want to say that our policy is exactly that policy. That's why those who target Israelis, target our soldiers, try to kill them or try to hurt them and wound them, as happened in Gaza yesterday, we take action. They will spend the rest of their brief, anxious lives knowing that Israel will hunt them, find them, and ruthlessly dispose of them. That is American policy. This is Israel's policy. It's our policy in Gaza, in Lebanon, anywhere around us. We do not sit by and let these killers kill us.
However, Prime Minister Albanese began his December 15th press briefing by describing the shooting as an act of terrorism, an act of antisemitism, and vowed to introduce tougher gun laws in Australia. Albanese also confirmed that his government is extending funding for the National Council for Jewish Community Security and state-based groups to strengthen protection for the Jewish community.
We are extending the funding for the National Council for Jewish Community Security and its state-based community security groups to provide overall security cover to the Jewish community as part of that. That is included in my EFO, but we're preempting that announcement today. That's also for capital works and can be utilised for guarding costs incurred by individual Jewish organisations across Australia. We're also working with Jewish community organisations to see how we can best support charity efforts, including through tax-deductible status for donations, and we're doing work on that. The government will also quickly work through the process of a declaration under the Terrorism and Cyclone Insurance Act that would ensure that insurance companies are able to pay out to local businesses for eligible losses. We're also working on support for funerals that will be held, but also visitor visas for people who are relatives wishing to visit Australia for the funerals, and I'll ask the Minister to comment on that. I do want to make a couple of more points as well. This morning I met with police who were on the scene last night, some of whom had been up all night. These are brave people, many people who were off-duty police, headed towards Bondi last night from as far away as Newcastle and the Central Coast. They did so because of their commitment to their fellow Australians and the diligence that they show. And I think we need to recognise their incredible work at a time as well when 2 police officers have been seriously injured as a result of the efforts and bravery that they have shown. What we saw yesterday was an act of pure evil, an act of terror, an act of anti-Semitism, an attack on the first day of Hanukkah targeted at the Jewish community. A dark day in Australia's history on what should have been a day of light. And visiting the scene there at Bondi this morning, it was a very physical reminder of the iconic status of Bondi Beach and the Bondi Pavilion. I opened that pavilion after the refurbishment just a couple of years ago. It is a historic place. And the fact that this was a venue for this act of evil that was clearly calculated by these perpetrators is just an outrage and a shock to the community. One of the things that is coming through, though, is that the community want to be able to express their support and solidarity. And I would urge and join with others who have urged Australians across the country to light a candle, put it in their front window tonight at 6:47 p.m. to show that light will indeed defeat darkness, part of what Hanukkah celebrates, of course. We are stronger than the cowards who did this. And I want to conclude finally by saying that the government is prepared to take whatever action is necessary. Included in that is the need for tougher gun laws. And this afternoon at 4 o'clock, I will put on the agenda of the National Cabinet tougher gun laws, including limits on the number of guns that can be be used or licensed by individuals. A review of licences over a period of time. People's circumstances change. People can be radicalised over a period of time. Licences should not be in perpetuity. And checks, of course, making sure that those checks and balances are in place as well. We will I'll take to National Cabinet this afternoon a proposal to empower agencies to examine what can be done in this area. Quite clearly, the Howard government's gun laws have made an enormous difference in Australia and are a proud moment of reform, quite rightly, achieved across the Parliament with bipartisan support. If we need to toughen these up, if there's anything we can do, I'm certainly up for it, and I hope to get National Cabinet on board for that this afternoon as well.